This is the first time that all my stories today will be concerning schools. And they're really interesting stories. And I kind of first heard them at the end of last week, but they just intrigued me so much. I knew I had to talk about them for today's episode. So let me just get right into it. Let's just get right into it, okay? Parents of 8-year-old barred from school photos because of extreme hairstyle. According to the parents, race has everything to do with it. I'm sure it does. Okay, here we go. An 8-year-old girl in Michigan was barred from taking a photo on school picture day because her hairstyle was deemed extreme. I'm gonna stop right there. Here's the thing. I'm looking at this hair, which is supposedly the hair that was considered to be the extreme hairstyle. This isn't that bad. I'm here in California with a bunch of liberals, and aside from liberals, or I shouldn't say liberals, but I should just say just some extreme people who really just want to stand out and go against the grain, and they just really have some crazy hairstyles. And I'm going to say this. Compared to this picture, for my Instagram post, you guys will be able to see what her hair looks like. It's really not that bad. And, then again, an extreme hairstyle, it's a very broad term. It's very broad. I mean, how do you say that? I mean, it's like this. I want to say North Korea has only, I think they have either 16 or like 26 approved hairstyles for men and women. If we went over there, all of our hair would be considered extreme and unacceptable, and we'd have to change our hair. So let me just keep going. And here come the parents, where it becomes a racial thing. Now her parents are speaking out about the incident, saying race has everything to do with this. I'm sure it does. The third grader at Paragon Charter Academy in Jackson, Michigan, had her hair specially done in braids wrapped in a bun by her mom, LaToya Howard, for the big day. But after leaving the house feeling camera ready with her black and red extensions, Marion Scott came home feeling defeated. Marion had called from a friend of mine's phone who saw Marion walking down the hallway going to the office, Howard tells Yahoo Lifestyle. She cried, and I told her that she did not do anything wrong. According to Howard, Marion was told by her principal that she wasn't allowed to get her photo taken, but Howard says that they should have communicated that with her and her fiancé, Doug Scott, first. Instead, Marion was sent back to her classroom and told that she could get her pictures done in November. Howard wrote on Facebook that she'd be taking her money to purchase photos elsewhere. Okay. So this is from LaToya Scott. This is a social media post. So Marion got called down to the office because of her hair and said that she can't take pictures because of the color. Paragon Charter Academy said that she can take them in November. Yeah, no thank you. We will take our money and purchase pictures with my brother or anyone else for that matter. I'm so livid, y'all have no idea. But I see other kids with colored hair, but since she's, in all caps, black, it's a problem. Oh yeah, race has everything to do with this. This is one of their rules. She used the wrong there, but that's minor. And it should have said, she did should of. It should be should have, not should of. Yeah, she has some grammar mistakes. And it should have said for blacks only. And then she has two emojis that are, it's the one where the yellow guy's like looking up with the frown, and I'm not really sure what to call it. This is her last year at this school. Promise you that. I just did it, and it's not coming down until it's ready to come down. I wish they would touch her hair or even make her take it down for that matter. Signed, one angry black woman. Ah, yes, that's grand. I see, here it is. A spokesman from National Heritage Academics, which operates Paragon Charter Academy, sent the following statement to Yahoo Lifestyle from the Parent and Student Handbook. Hair color must be of natural tones. Headbands must be solid white, navy, hunter green, or black. And I don't know what hunter green is. But I'm going to assume that these colors are their school colors. Students must be in school uniform for fall pictures and any retakes. Students not in school uniform will not be allowed to have their pictures taken. We take great care to ensure our families are well informed about this policy and also work closely with students and their parents if there's a concern. The statement reads, we understand the importance of good communication in helping strengthen the partnership we have with our families, and we will continue to make this a priority to create a school environment where everyone is valued and their voice and has their voice heard. While the school's handbook reads that hairstyles must be conservative, man, that's a broad term. Doris, aka Doris Wendy Green, a lawyer professor at Drexel University and expert on grooming codes discrimination, maintains that based on Howard's observations, Marion may have been treated unfavorably because of her race. This incident highlights the heightened level of scrutiny, regulation, and stigmatization that black children, and black girls in particular, endure at school when they do not don straightened hairstyles in black or brown. Green writes to Yahoo Lifestyle via email, whether a black child is barred from wearing a natural hairstyle or hair color, it is often a reflection of racial as well as color-based stereotypes and biases that the decision makers implicitly or explicitly hold concerning what is natural or normal and therefore acceptable for black children. Here's the thing. Now, what she is saying, there is a point. There are different types of hairstyles with different types of ethnicities. There are certain things I can do to my hair that other people can't do to their hair. There are certain things that people can do to their hair that I can't do to mine. When people say, here's a problem with school codes. So according the school's handbook says that hairstyles must be conservative. I would ask what that means. I don't. If you went up to 10 people, let's just say 100 people, and you surveyed them, and you said, what is a conservative hairstyle? What would they say? Here's the thing. I think most people would say, and here's the thing. It depends on where you ask them. It depends on where these people are. You come here to California, you're going to get probably 100 different answers. I see some hairstyles where I'm just like, oh my God, what happened? And then there are other places where it's like, okay, they're just not as liberal as they are here in California, and so you'll get different answers. But let's just say 100 people. You can think of 100 people that you know, and you ask them, what is a conservative hairstyle? What are they gonna say? I have come across people, and I think this goes for. Here's the thing. It goes to me for all races and all ethnicities, because you have a situation where as a black guy, I look at a white person and I don't know what life is like for them. I don't know I don't know everything that they have to do for, personal care. I don't know what they have to do for grooming. I don't know all the details. And they won't really know all the details for me. And, they may have black friends and I myself have white friends, but I don't understand it because I don't live it myself. So when she says, what did she say? Whether a black child is barred from wearing a natural hairstyle or hair color, it is often a reflection of racial as well as color-based stereotypes and biases the decision makers implicitly or explicitly hold concerning what is quote natural or quote normal, and therefore quote acceptable for black children. She does have a point there, but here's the thing: you guys know that I'm not a fan of just pointing to racism. Now, according to the mom, she said, I'm so livid y'all have no idea. But I see other kids with colored hair, but since she's black, it's a problem. The only way to prove that, there's just a lot of problems here. There's just a lot of problems here because you have just vague terms. And so that's really all I have to say about the story. I don't want to point to racism. That it's not healthy for society and it's not good for people, because there are people who will just point to things that are, that's like out of their control, and they'll say, "Oh, it's because of this that you don't like me. It's because of this that I didn't get the job." There is a girl I know who she said that she went to a Target interview, and she was, she admitted that she was 2 minutes late, and she says that she didn't get the job because of racism. And just admitting, when she said that she was 2 minutes late, I was like, oh, so she didn't get the job. So I didn't think the story was going to go that much further. But, she is, what is she? I think she's something from the Middle East. I don't know. But she said but her immediate reason was, oh, they're racist. That's why I didn't get the job. Here's the thing. If you're late to a job interview, you don't get the job. That's pretty much an automatic disqualifier. You might as well not even go to the interview if you're late. Because when you're late, and here's the thing, they don't care about the reason. Late is late. So, it's just really not a good thing. It's just not a good thing for society. It's not a good thing for individuals just to immediately point to race. It's something that I'm very, very reluctant to do. It's one of the last things I have on my list. Because my mentality is that most people don't care about race at the end of the day. When it comes to interacting with people, most people at the end of the day, they really don't care that much. And so whenever I see something and something doesn't go my way with another person, I think, okay, did I do everything I could have done correctly? That's what I ask first. And I would just encourage you, whoever you are, or whatever you do, or whatever your ethnicity is, or just whatever your background, always ask yourself that first. Everything that was in my control, did I do that to the best of my ability and made sure that everything that I dotted all my I's, crossed all my T's, and made sure that I was on my P's and Q's? Have I done everything that I can do? And then if you haven't, then, throw out all the other reasons. But don't just immediately point the finger. Don't do that. And I'm really not a fan of it. I gotta say this, as someone who is a minority, I can't stand it when we do that. I can't stand it when we do that. I remember my parents, they always told my siblings and I, you have to work twice as hard because you're black. You always have to work twice as hard as the white kid because you're black. And that just never made sense to me as a kid. People, it's just, I don't know. I would just encourage you to not do it. Just don't do it. It's really not helpful. And also it strengthens you. It makes you realize when you change your perspective, it makes you realize there is more in your control than you think. So, that's all I have to say about this story. This is kind of a he said, she said kind of thing. Where the mom says, oh, okay, there are other kids who go to that school and they have their hair colored. We don't know if that's true. It's easily provable. I don't really know. But we'll just, I don't know. That's that story. And so I'm done with that. Okay, this next story is, you know what? No, I'm going to save this story. I'm going to save it. I'm going to do that for my third story. Second story is from NBCnews.com. And by the way, that last story, you could find it on Yahoo Lifestyle. It was from a time back. But here we go. Kansas 13-year-old girl who pointed finger gun at classmates charged with a felony. Yes, you heard that correctly. And if you don't know what a finger gun is, it's very simple. It's literally if you were gonna show a gun with your fingers, like if you were gonna imitate a gun with your hand, that's a finger gun. It can't actually, as you might envision and understand, it can't actually shoot bullets or actually cause harm unless I guess you poke someone in the eye or something like that. I don't know. The student in Overland Park, Kansas, was allegedly asked by a classmate if she could kill 5 people in class. Who would they be? All right. A Kansas middle school girl who formed her fingers into a gun and pointed it at several of her classmates after another student asked her who she would kill was arrested and charged with a felony. The incident happened on September 18th at Westridge Middle School in Overland Park, about 13 miles south of Kansas City, after administrators were alerted to a potential threat made by a 13-year-old student, police said in a news release. According to the Kansas City Star, the girl was having a discussion with a classmate who asked if she could kill 5 people in the room. Who would they be? The girl responded by allegedly making a finger gun and pointing it at 4 students and then pointing it at herself, the outlet reported. An Overland Park police spokesperson told NBC News in a statement Friday that an individual who felt threatened used the school's online anti-bullying app to alert administrators, who conducted an investigation, and then told the school resource officer. Okay, I'm just going to stop right there for a little bit. So, this girl is in a conversation with someone, and this other girl says, okay, so, let's just say who, pretty much, here was the question. Pretty much, okay, so the question was, if you could kill 5 people, who would they be? Which is another way of asking, who are your who are your 5 least favorite people in this class? All right. Now, here's what we need to understand. These are things that kids do, and they've done them for a long time. An individual who felt threatened used the school's online anti-bullying app to alert administrators. Let me say this. We now live in a society that is defined greatly by social media. And it's scary because you have people who believe that, school shootings are getting worse and things like that. And so now we're living in a time where with social media, everything is blown up and it's seen as being bigger than it really is. So whenever there's a school shooting, for some reason, people think that school shootings are new, and they're not. You can go back to the 1800s and even the 1700s in America, where there were school shootings. It's very, you can find it. When people, talk, and that's what I think happened here. Kids are now living in fear, and they're living with the mentality of, oh, okay, you can't really make gun jokes anymore or do anything like that because it's like, oh, so you want to shoot up the school or something? And that's not it. There's an article from Northeastern. This came out last year on February 26th. Here we go. Schools are safer than they were in the 90s, and school shootings are not more common than they used to be, researchers say. Since 1996, there have been 16 multiple, and this is 2018, so these stats go up to that time, February 26, 2018. Since 1996, there have been 16 multiple victim shootings in schools or incidents involving 4 or more victims and at least 2 deaths by firearms, excluding the assailant. Of these, 8 are mass shootings or incidents involving 4 or more deaths, excluding the assailant. All right? This is not an epidemic. Mass school shootings are incredibly rare events. In research publishing later this year, Fox and doctoral student Emma Friedel found that on average, mass murders occur between 20 and 30 times per year, and about one of those incidents on average takes place at a school. So that's what we're saying. They're incredibly rare. If you go into the statistics and you go deeper, and I'm not really going to go into that because that's a whole episode in itself, but that's what we live in. And so this student was probably sensitive and got scared and said, "Oh my God, I think this person might want to shoot up the school," because they made a gun sign and she was pointing it at various people, and I don't know what she's doing. So this led to this girl getting arrested and charged with a felony. The resource officer, this is back in the article, the resource officer who was employed by the city's police department interviewed both students involved who affirmed the actions which constituted the potential threat. Police said the girl, whose identity is not being released because she is a juvenile, was then arrested by the resource officer. Too often there are reports of violence in schools and inevitably questions about what could or should have been done to prevent the tragedy. Threats in schools are taken very seriously and treated appropriately. A spokesperson for the Johnson County District Attorney's Office said that after reviewing the evidence, the girl was charged with a criminal threat, which is a felony offense. She is due to appear in court next week. John Kavanaugh, the girl's grandfather, told the Kansas City Star that he thinks the incident got completely out of hand and should have been handled in the principal's office and not with a teenager being charged with a felony. That's part of that's what I'm saying. You have the overreaction and the overanalyzation on social media and the news and things like that. And so now schools think, okay, so how do we handle this situation? If we have one student who feels scared, you're obviously always going to have that one sensitive student, and that one you're always going to have that one hypersensitive student. Something's going to happen. They tell their parents get mad at us. Those parents spread it out, and it just becomes bigger than it should be. So what do we do? How do we handle this? It's like, okay, so just go right for the jugular. Just we're gonna kill this right here. So we're gonna overreact because it's in our best interest, because in their minds they're thinking, if a school shooting happens, people could point to this incident and say, why didn't you guys do anything about this? And that is huge. Because just that small chance is enough to make people react differently. So they think, okay, you know what? We'll just not. They could have taken it to the principal, and they said, let's go to the police. Let's. Here's what they probably did. Here's what I think happened. It went up the chain of command. So you had the app. So someone probably saw the app. Probably, one of the school administrators talked to the principal about it. Principal brought in the school resource officer and the vice principal and just a few other people that are high up, and they said, okay, what do we do here? And they said, okay, you know what? How should we act? Should we just call her in and tell her not to do that? Should we punish her like that? Or what should we do? And they said, you know what? We can't, in this society that we live in, we have to overreact. We have to come to a point where we say, you know what? It's just better that we overreact on you than in the eyes of other parents and other families and other students. They say we underreacted, and if something happens, then people, we're all out of a job. John Kavanaugh, the girl's grandfather, told the Kansas City Star that he thinks the incident got completely out of hand and should have been handled in the principal's office and not with the teenager being charged with a felony. Kavanaugh said the 13-year-old does not have access to a gun. She was just mouthing off. He said, I'm really worried about my granddaughter's future. And he should be. A spokesperson for the Shawnee Mission School District told NBC News that he could not discuss the incident, but that the district was not involved in the girl being arrested. We didn't have any control over that action, David Smith said, declining to say if the school disciplined the student who began the discussion by asking the girl who she would kill. So there it is. That's exactly what I was saying. That's probably what they did. They just called him in and they said, you know what? Mr. School Resource Officer, whatever his name is, we're going to put this is now in your jurisdiction. Do what you think is best. That's what I think happened. Because here's the thing. I think they all thought, you know what? This isn't really a threat. This really isn't. This is something that kids do. It's like, sometimes people are, guys are messing around and they get into a little bit of a scuffle and stuff like that. And one of the guys says, man, I'll kill you. He's not going to kill him. It's just saying, it doesn't mean that. You have to put it in context. So this girl was talking to her friend, And because this isn't, I mean, this is something that you do. That's a question that you would ask your friend. This isn't something that you would just ask someone next to you because you're bored in class. Just be like, hey, yeah, so who would, if you could, if you could kill 5 people in this class, who would they be? That's something you do. That's something that friends do with each other. And so anyway, that's what I think happened. And that's just the way it is now. People now overreact, and just understand this whole fear of school shootings. Now I will concede, I have talked about myself and how I go to school, and like I just kind of look at the door and just who's coming in, who's going out, stuff like that. Is there a bag left behind somewhere? That's something I do, but I'm not afraid of being killed at school. It's not something that I think about. There are so many other things that could possibly happen. I could get hit by a car. I could get, hit by, someone, I get, trampled by, joggers on campus. There are so many other ways I would die at school than a school shooting. Just remember, school shootings are rare. They're extremely rare. So don't be afraid concerning this. 4 times the number of children were killed in schools in the early 90s than today. That's incredible. I mean, that's just unbelievable. And one thing that the left does is they always use the term gun violence. Gun violence is it's a term that it means exactly what it sounds like. Violence with guns involved. And it's like, okay, because what that does, that grossly inflates the number. Most gun deaths are suicides. I want to say it's 51%. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I know it's very, very, it's like half. So you can cut down gun violence. Just most gun deaths are through suicide. So that's, and I think what's just absolutely garbage is how they talk about, okay, especially Beto, he's like, we're going to take your guns. And it's like, do these people even think? I mean, just look at it this way. This is very simple. There are hundreds of millions of guns in the United States. Relative to that, I mean, we are so high. We're so high in the number of guns in this nation relative to the other countries. And we take this information and it's like, okay, so if we have all these guns, how come there aren't more people being killed? There would be way more people being killed if guns were the problem. You have a very, 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 very small portion of the population who does terrible things with guns. And then, you have the left coming in saying, okay, you know what? No guns for you guys. So you're going to punish most people for things that they haven't done. Recently in California, just this past weekend, Governor Gavin Newsom, who, let me just say, Gavin Newsom is one handsome devil. I don't like the guy, but he is a very good-looking dude. I can see why he was the mayor of San Francisco. But he just signed a bill where now, pretty much if you feel that someone is a threat to you, and they have a gun, You can report them and you can pretty much, have them, checked and looked down and their gun could possibly be taken away, which is a terrible, horrible law because you're punishing people who haven't broken the law. It's just, oh, this person is uncomfortable that I have a gun. They think I pose a threat. And the question is, what is a threat? What does that mean? Because remember, as I like to say, offense is taken, not given. Emotions come from inside. Emotions come from inside. So you feel threatened. So just because you have a certain feeling inside of you, I have to lose my guns and I'm, being checked out and, my second amendment right is being, affected. That's outrageous. That's absolutely outrageous. I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but these gun laws in California, man, they're just, I'm telling you, here's the thing. I'm really torn. I like Sacramento. I do. People are very kind up here. People are very nice. I've spent most of my life in Southern California. People aren't as nice down there. Now, the women are better looking than they are up here. But, I don't know. It's expensive to live out here. You have all these negative factors. I could very easily see myself graduating and moving out of California. Seriously, I think I'm just gonna be one of those conservatives who's just like, all right, pack it up. I'm going to Arizona or New Mexico or Texas. It's just the laws here, man. I'm gonna say this. As someone who is single, I can live with it. I can live with California. So it's doable for me. But I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna have a family one day, and I can't wait for that day to come. Oh my! It excites me so much. But if I played out 100 scenarios in my head with where my future family and I are doing our thing, I can't see it happening in California. I can't see myself and my wife raising a family in California. I don't see it. I don't see it happening. No, I believe that I would have property out here and, we would vacation out here. But I just can't see it happening. California, we are losing it out here. We're losing it out here. And it's just getting to the point where it's like, man, even small businesses, they leave here and they go to like they go to the heartland of the United States. Idaho, just out there. It's like California is just, it's really not desirable out here. Let me give California some praise. Great weather. We have the best weather in the world. And I haven't really traveled that much, but just understanding geography and all of that, knowing biomes and different things like that, we have the best weather in the world, specifically Southern California. Great looking women. The women here are good looking. Now there are issues where it's like, okay, fake boobs, fake butt, lip injections, all of that. So you do have that, but overall, we have great looking women. All right. There are things you can pretty much do whatever you want in California. in terms of like vacationing. You want to go snowboarding, you can do that. You want to go to the beach, you can do that. You want to go rock climbing, you can do that. You want to go hiking, you can do that. There are so many different things you can do. And it's like, wow, this is amazing. So those are the great things about California. But I gotta be real. When it comes time for my family, I don't see it. I don't see it happening here. I really don't see it happening here. All right, that's this story. I really went on a couple of tangents there. Anyway, this next story it's really hilarious. It's really hilarious, and let me just read the article. Pennsylvania teacher placed on leave for racist rant to parent after fender bender. The Drexel Hill Middle School teacher yelled a slew of expletives and racist remarks at the man in the school's parking lot on Thursday morning. This is also from NBC News. A Pennsylvania middle school teacher has been placed on administrative leave for spewing racist remarks at a parent after the two got into a fender bender on Thursday morning. In a video posted on Facebook on Thursday, the Drexel Hill Middle School teacher can be seen going into a racist rant against parent Rashid Noel after the two got into a minor car accident during the school's student drop-off period. The school district has not officially released the teacher's name. I always kind of find that funny because it's so easy to find out their name. It wouldn't be hard at all. Here we go. You're probably on welfare, she can be heard saying while she tries to buff her truck's bumper. It's because I'm young and I'm black, and that's the reason why you would say that, Noel says. Here, I'm going to say this. I love how she responds. I love how she responds. She says, "That's right. It's because you're black." She was honest. I love this. I love her honesty. She didn't backtrack or anything like that. She just went with it. She was straight up honest, and that I respect. Because remember, I would rather know that you are completely against me than you're standing right next to me, and I really don't know where you stand on something. When I know where you stand, I respect you more. Even if you can't stand my guts, I have more respect for you. So I love that she's honest right there. She says, "Always looking to milk the system. And you see me, a white woman, so you think I got money. Go back to your welfare or your Section 8 house," the teacher later added, referring to the city's low-income housing. "Do you see the big truck I have? Look at the piece of S you have." Noel rebuts the woman's claims, saying he makes six figures a year and has a 3,200 square foot home after he repeatedly calls her mad and nervous. The woman responds, "Oh, you go F off," and then she called him a racially derogatory term. And I think we can all figure out what she could have possibly have said. Noel met with Upper Darby School District Superintendent Daniel P. McGarry after the incident to voice his concerns, according to the district's Director of Communications, Aranda Buford. In an email to parents on Thursday night, McGarry called the teacher's behavior deeply troubling and announced that she had been placed on administrative leave due to an ongoing investigation into the incident. "The comments and actions made by this teacher do not align with our core beliefs of opportunity, unity, and excellence," the email read. "We are a community of many cultures and backgrounds, and we value our diversity. It strengthens us. We intend to vigorously address the issue," the email continued. "We will be working with our district's deep equity team to develop ways to reflect on this incident with staff across the district." I'm just going to say this. People talk about, diversity training and, sensitivity training and things like that. Listen, people are the way they are. People have certain preferences, certain feelings about certain groups of people, certain ideas about certain groups. And there's nothing you can do to change that. Where they say, we intend to vigorously address this issue. We will be working with our district's deep equity team to develop ways to reflect on this incident with staff across the district. Look, man, I'm going to say this. For the most part, if someone's racist, they're racist, man. Like that's it. Like you can put them around the group that they won't like, but they will still harbor some of those feelings. Now, I guess you could say their racism could improve and it could get better, but it's not going to do anything. There are certain ways that I feel about certain people. It's not going away, for the most part. And here's the thing. You can do it when they're young, but as people get older, I've said it before, human beings are like cement. When you pour cement for the very first time, it's fresh. That's like birth. So you're malleable, you're fluid. But then once you hit that concrete, once you hit the ground, you immediately start aging. And the longer concrete is there, the harder it gets, the more cracked it is. The older people get, the less likely they are to change. Change and age are negatively correlated. The younger I am, the more I change. The older I get, the less I'm going to change because I'm more stuck in my ways. I've been doing something. Let's say I'm 70. I'm 70 years old. I'm up there. I've seen a lot. I've done a lot. I come across something different. I'm going to do the same thing. It's just that simple. The older people get, the more they're, the harder they're going to be. Noelle applauded the district's decision to investigate the teacher's behavior and place her on leave. I commend the Upper Darby School District for taking quick action on this teacher at Drexel Hill Middle School, Noelle wrote in the Facebook post of the video. They are doing everything in their power to make sure people like this teacher become non-existent in any school. The teacher has worked at the school since 2008, according to Buford. Yep. That's it. I mean, these things happen. And, it's amazing. When you put people in an uncomfortable spot, it's amazing how their true colors show. I mean, it's just amazing how people really are when you put them in an uncomfortable situation. I've always found that fascinating. People tend to come together in disasters. That's why I just find them so I don't want to say amazing, but just it's kind of a breath of fresh air. Because you can kind of tend to think that people are cynical and becoming more narcissistic. And, people are just generally becoming worse. But then you see things, you see hurricanes. You see the best in people. You see people taking of their money and their resources and that aren't affected by a situation. And they help help complete strangers that are affected by the situation. I find that amazing. It's just so interesting to me. Friendships, that's the great thing about friendships. It's just a matter of time. Go through something difficult. You will find out who your friends are. You will. I promise you will. There are some who it's very easy to tell, we're cool, but we're not really friends. We're just acquaintances. Then there are some people where it's like, okay, they're kind of in it for what they can get. They're just kind of an opportunist and you can easily weed them out. But then there are some where you won't really know until something happens, either to you or to them. And anger is also an interesting thing. When people get angry, people always say, "Oh, I didn't mean that." No, it's the opposite is true. Just watch people when they get angry. When they are angry, that's who they are, and those are their feelings. Those are just feelings that they've been holding on to, and then it's bubbling up, and it comes out. That's how they really feel. I always hate that garbage when people say, "Oh, I was angry, I didn't mean it." No, you meant it. You meant it. When you're angry, that's when people are most honest. When people are angry, that's when they're most honest. So just be careful. Just be careful, and it's just amazing how you'll quickly learn who people are. So that's really all I have to do. That's really all I have to say for this episode. Yeah, it's just really amazing to me. I recently had, a situation where, there were some friends and we were all sitting and we were all talking. And this, I guess I shouldn't say recently, but this was, I guess you could say before the summer hit. So it's been some time. But you sit there and you're like, we were sitting there and someone was in a bad mood. One of us was in a bad mood, and someone made a joke, and I guess that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and this person just blew up. I mean, they blew up like steam would have been coming out of their ears. And they said things that clearly they had been holding on to for a long time. And, it just happened, and it just showed who they were, and it just showed what they were feeling, what they thought, and all of that. And it's just really, really interesting. So it's, being uncomfortable, being in a hard situation, being angry, having a disagreement. It really just shows who people are. And I find that to be very interesting.